Tonight on CTV3 News, Curtis Usher, who was gunned down in Libertad village, is laid to rest in Tea Kettle. Police yet to make an arrest in his murder. Commissioner of Police Chester Williams descends in Libertad after double gunfire spree. A date set for the end of the 2022-2023 crop season and professional recording music studio inaugurated in Orange Walk. These are some of the stories we have for you in tonight's newscast for Monday, June 12, 2023.
Special guest in the audience tonight, legendary record executive, Mr. Clive Davis.
My voice is gone. What? You start the show tonight. No talking back. I'm your mother.
There's a boy I know. He's the one I dream of.
What's your name again?
Whitney Elizabeth Houston.
Wait, no! It's on. It's on. Listen.
How will I know if he really loves me?
My dream, sing what I want to sing, be how I want to be.
I say a prayer with every heartbeat.
Reach as big an audience as I can.
How will I know?
Common criticism of you, your music isn't black enough.
Look, I don't know how to sing black, and I don't know how to sing white either. I know how to sing.
I might have just heard the greatest voice of her generation.
Maybe.
Maybe. It's got to have a hook.
A hook?
Yeah.
I'll give it a hook.
And now, the hottest match of the evening. Get ready for action! Here they come. Amazing. They're unstoppable, unbeatable. They have them on the ropes. The heat rises to the top. 1, 2, and 3. They're on fire. Chiladas.
Fire up the taste of Belize with the new Chiladas crunchy tortilla taco chips in its hot chili flavor. Fiery habanero brings the heat.
They're on fire. Chiladas.
From Snackers, done right, done here.
I wanted to show them something that wasn't an illusion. Something that was real. Something that they could see and touch.
Humans and dinosaurs can't coexist. We created an ecological disaster.
Ellie Sattler.
Alan Grant.
You didn't come out all this way just to catch up now, did you?
You coming or what?
That's another plane, right?
Not exactly.
Don't move.
Good evening. With your news also simulcast on Fiesta FM 106.7, I am Ethan Rodriguez. Curtis Usher was killed last Saturday night in Libertad village, and police are yet to charge anyone for his murder. While family members laid Usher to rest in Tea Kettle village yesterday, they are still demanding answers from the police department, starting with a motive. Today we asked Commissioner of Police Chester Williams for an update on the case while he was in Libertad.
We have detained a number of persons, we have interviewed them, but again, due to the area where the crime occurred and there were much witnesses around, except for the wife who may have seen what transpired, and she herself is not able to tell us definitively who the shooter is or shooters. We are at a stalemate at this time, but nonetheless we continue to do our interviews with a view to see if we'll be able to ascertain who is responsible and gather the evidence to be able to charge someone.
One person who was detained for questioning into the murder is Calcutta resident Hugo Casanova. When police detained Casanova, he was transported to Belmopan where he was questioned. But after all the show, Casanova was released as police could not tie him to the case.
You all would know that because of the heightened risk in the Crozal and Orange Walk district, we wouldn't want to have any high-risk prisoner detained at the police station in Crozal or Orange Walk. It will pose a risk to the police and the prisoner themselves. So what we do to ensure the security of the police and the prisoners is that we took them to Belmopan, where it is more central and more safer while the investigation is ongoing. He was interviewed in respect to different situations or different crimes. We were not able to gather any evidence to have charged him with any offense, and based on that he was released. It does not mean that he's out of the woods. Our investigation still continues, and if we should find something later on that incriminates him, then we can still proceed against him.
On the day of Usher's murder, police found his licensed 9mm pistol close to his dead body. All indications are he shot back at his shooter, but nothing was found on the deceased. But how did Usher obtain a gun license with a previous charge of keeping unlicensed firearm and ammunition levied on him in September 2022 in his record?
When the police arrived at the shooting scene and he was examined, he did have on him a 9mm Smith & Wesson pistol, which is licensed to him. And I can say definitively that the license was issued by me. It was issued to him in 2013 by the previous commissioner, not by me. And as the commissioner, I don't have the authority to revoke a license just like that. Certainly, yes, I was looking at the progress of the case he had before the court. And once he would have been convicted for that offense, where he was charged with keeping unlicensed firearm, then I would have gone for revocation, because the Firearm Act tells you that once you're convicted for a firearm offense, it's a ground for revocation. We had not arrived at that stage as yet, and so his license was still with him. I have revoked many licenses under those circumstances, and as I said, contrary to what some people was trying to make the public believe, that it was me who issued the gun license, it was not issued by me.
On the night of Usher's murder, he had just arrived home at about 9 p.m. in the company of his 26-year-old common-law wife Jasmine Williamson and their 3-year-old son, when a lone gunman appeared from some bushes and fired several shots at Usher while he was on the veranda with his son. Police recovered 21 7.62mm expended shells and 2.9mm live rounds, along with a licensed 9mm Smith & Wesson firearm with one magazine containing 7 live rounds from the scene. Meet and greet has been a practice of the Belize Police Department for a number of years. It would be the route to take right after a major incident or incidences of crime would take place in a particular community. Viewers will remember that 1 week ago, Curtis Usher was gunned down in Libertad, Corozal, in the presence of his common-law wife and 3-year-old son by an unknown shooter, who used a high-caliber weapon to commit the crime. Less than 48 hours past the murder of Usher, a family's house and vehicle was riddled by bullets in the same village. Luckily, no one was injured, but Wilbert Henry was detained for questioning into the murder of Usher and eventually released without being charged. The nature of both occurrences has shattered the safety of residents who had been calling for immediate police intervention, And that is exactly what the cops did, as today they were seen in great numbers in Libertad and were accompanied by top cops, including Commissioner of Police Chester Williams, who spoke to the press about his visit to the community.
You have heard the comments of those persons who have visited so far this evening, and they all alluded to the fact that the village is known in the past to be a very peaceful, loving village. And then sudden one, this shootings occurred, and that they found surprising, according to them. Despite that, they are happy to see that the police have responded adequately to the security concerns, and they are now much satisfied with the presence of the police in the village. Well, from what our investigation revealed, that drugs is the motive behind it, and yes, there are a few people in the village who are known as drug peddlers, and there is always the issue of control, and so that is the issue that we have found that had fueled the recent shootings.
Williams says that one of the main recommendations made today by members of the Libertad community was the erection of a police substation, and that could be coming soon.
There is a need for a police station to be constructed in the village urgently to bring back the permanent police presence in the village, and that is something I will take back to my minister, and he can take that to cabinet, and they will see what can be done. I know for a fact that the Libertad police station is a part of the Cartel project, and so we're hoping that that will come to fruition very shortly, and then we can have the permanent presence of the police here. But in the time being, we do have elements of the BDF and the police, specialized units in the village patrolling in the evening time to make sure that we get a grip of what is taking place in the village. And I'm happy to say that so far we have seen that these shootings have subsided.
Programs catering for youths in the community are also being looked at in the hope of curbing crime.
The people want to see more police presence, and as I said to them during the meet and greet, is that the whole issue of fighting or addressing the crime issue must not be one to be done by the police and the police only. There must be a collaborative issue or partnership between the police and the community, and so we are looking at different programs. We want to look at the Neighborhood Watch program to see if we can implement one within the village, and we also want to have a program for the children. So the Youth Cadet program is also one that we will push going forward. In the past, Libertad did have a vibrant Youth Cadet group, and that have vanished away. We want to see that come back. So we have the person who is in charge of community policing here in Corozal, as well as the national head, Mr. Judith Undergrounds, and we'll see how we can get that program up and running very quickly.
Tonight, there is a sad story coming out of Corozal as well-known music instructor Kari Makala lost his life in what can only be described as a freak accident. It happened while he was trying to demolish a concrete building located in San Antonio Village, Corozal. What is more horrible is that the accident was witnessed by Makala's wife and 5-year-old son. Elmer Cornejo has the story.
Career music teacher Kerry Makala lost his life around 1 this morning at a hospital in Belize City, where he was transferred to under emergency after suffering a terrible accident. Makala, we are told, had just attended the graduation exercise at Escuela Secundaria Técnica Mexico, where he was awarded for his unwavering support to the school in the area of music. He then headed back to Corozal town and ended up in the village of San Antonio, where he was demolishing a concrete house. However, the ambassador band director would not know he was going to be involved in a freak accident, which would then lead to his demise. The family's nightmare began when the concrete building, which was previously devoured by fire, collapsed on him. The accident unfolded before Makala's wife and 5-year-old son, Joseph.
When we came home, we heard him still working, and it was about 7:30. And so we came home, and then I didn't go over there where it happened until I heard the ambulance come, and it was about 8 then. So it was between 7:30 and 8 it happened. And by the time we got over there, the part of the building had already collapsed, but he was still lying on the ground. And we could see that his leg was badly damaged because it was bent, and you could see it was broken because it was exposed.
And was he complaining?
No, no. We asked him, are you in pain? He said only his back was hurting, but we were wondering because we saw the bone from the leg, but he was saying only his back was hurting. But he was always conscious. He was conscious all the time.
Did he say anything?
No, he was just saying his back was hurting, and then they tried to keep him calm because right then, like I said, the nurses from the ambulance, his wife and another lady who was a nurse was trying to keep him calm.
And then he passed away this morning.
That's what I heard. They took him to the hospital here in Corozal, and then shortly after they transferred him to, I think it was in Belize City. But I don't think anything was done to him because he left here about probably 9, and I understand about 1 he passed.
Makala was no stranger to his community, and in fact, nationwide, he was well known for his passion for music. His music students were also his #1 priority. His church friend Esther McField says the community is going to miss the kindness of the Jamaican national that made Belize his home many years ago.
He migrated from Jamaica with his parents and family years ago, and so he got married to a Belizean. And from the time he landed here, he has been an asset for our community because he was a well-behaved young man. He's into church, into music, and liked by everybody. And so I know him, like I said, through church and through his family because I attend the same church like he did.
What is one of the good things you will remember about Mr. Carey?
His smile. He's always smiling no matter what's happening. He had that bright, genuine smile. Not only his mouth would smile, even his eyes would smile. So he was a very contagious smile. And I've worked with him, and he works well under pressure. He is a very hardworking, honest, dedicated person. Young too, was very young. Yeah.
I understand that he had at least 1 son.
Yes, he had a son. He had a son, and the little boy is very young, so my condolences to them too. But I'm sure that he'll be missed by the community because, like I said, he always was willing to help, to share, and to in whatever capacity he was asked to help, he would be willing to do that.
And I understand that he gave back to his community largely in the ambient of music.
Yes, he played for. Actually, he was a music teacher at a escuela. He taught at other high schools before. He plays for the church and he plays for different groups, and he's very good at what he does.
Today, when we visited the family, his wife declined to comment as she was still in shock. We also tried getting comment from a spokesperson at Escuela Secundaria Técnica Mexico, where he was employed, but we were unsuccessful. Elmer Cornejo, CTV3 News.
There is a very disturbing video that has been circulating Facebook over the last 24 hours. It is evident that the amateur video was recorded with a mobile phone. In the footage, a former police officer is seen detained by what appears to be members of the Cartel in Mexico. The ex-officer, whose name is unknown at this time, is seen begging for his family to make an urgent payment for his release. Today, Commissioner of Police Chester Williams was asked about what the department has done in relation to this particular case.
In respect of that matter, we are still not sure what happened. We cannot say that the young man was detained by the cartels. We cannot say that he was not. I had tasked investigators to contact his family members to see if we would be able to meet with him, interview him, and get from him exactly what transpired. And if we were to do that, then we can arrive at a definitive decision or conclusion as to whether or not he was indeed held captive by cartel and what was done to secure his release. So at this time, we can only go by what we have seen and what we are hearing, but to say definitively that this is the case or that was the case, we cannot say that at this time, no.
Coming up next, a 52-year-old father is accused of incest. Stay tuned.
If you're lucky, no matter what life hands you, You can always count on your closest friends to be there. Oh, thank you. My purse was exhausted. We are all blissfully unaware when our lives are about to change.
Life is full of surprises.
I'm ready to lose my virginity.
Excuse me?
I got the list.
What list?
There's a whole brouhaha at school about this MILF list.
For real?
Our lunchtime fodder is not usually this lowbrow, I swear.
Really? Who have you been eating with?
It's a big step up for Che and me.
I've been having exit out of grief sex. It's just sex.
The world has changed since you've been out there. Men have feelings too.
Life's too short not to try something new. And just like that, I realized some things are better left in the past. But maybe not everything.
Sign up for Smart's Share Plan and save big. Whether you're a small entrepreneur starting up your business, a student on a limited budget, or a family trying to save, this is the plan for you. With unlimited SMS, calls, and data, we help you save. Get up to 5 lines for as low as $30 per line monthly, only with Smart. Sign up today at any Smart showroom or sales manager countrywide. So get your business going, share more memories with friends, and be ready for the day with Smart.
Come on!
When hungry or craving, when laughter or tears, enjoy the best snacking or flavors are here. Asadas, bocadas, chiladas, doradas, delicious for snacking, done right and done here.
Done right, done here.
A 52-year-old father is accused of a very serious sex crime alleged by his teenage daughter almost 6 years ago. The father, who cannot be named, is accused of having sexual intercourse with his daughter when she was 15 years and 11 months old in July of 2017, and again after she has turned 16 in September of 2018. The accused appeared before Senior Magistrate Aretha Ford, who read the indictable offenses and did not take a plea on the 2 counts of incest. Bail was denied and he was remanded into custody until August 9th, although he indicated he would seek bail through the High Court. On Saturday, the Ministry of Tourism and Diaspora Relations officially handed over a fully equipped state-of-the-art recording studio to the Department of Youth Services here in Orange Walk Town. The creation of the recording studio was made possible through a partnership between several ministries and the Inter-American Development Bank, with the goal of enhancing tourism through the development of music and culture in Belize. Our team was on hand during this weekend's event and filed the following report.
After several months of collaborative work, on Saturday, the Orange Walk Sound Factory recording studio was officially inaugurated as a space for local artists to record their songs and improve their craft. The studio is equipped with world-class technology necessary to produce music, including a vocal room and a space for a producer. This state-of-the-art studio is the brainchild of Minister Anthony Mahler, who says it comes to answer the call to address the major needs of the music sector in Belize.
For us, tourism represents almost 47% of our GDP, so almost 50%. And we truly believe that culture, music, or diversity as a people are important injectors into this very dynamic industry. And so the only way you can build a good music environment here in Belize is if you have the proper equipment, the proper incubators for the talented people that we have all across this country to inject their energies and their mindsets into making beautiful music. We see it in Trinidad, we see it in Jamaica, and we see it spread all across the world. So I've said this before, why can't we have our own version of Afrobeats? And Evan is more in line with the production of music and entertainment, and so he's driving this initiative to create a song from Belize with Perf and other talented producers that we have in the country. But this is just the start. The music festival that we're having, again the second one later on in July, all of those things are initiatives that we have identified in Plan Belize as driving Belize forward. And so these are just first steps. We have a long way to go, but I want to challenge our musicians. And Evan, Nicole, and members of my ministry can tell you, on the BTB and all the departments that fall under the Ministry of Tourism and Diaspora Relations, I have said from day one, mediocrity is not an option. So I am challenging you to raise your level. If you want to go international, you have to step your game up.
As the body responsible for the development of youth in our community, Minister of Youth Honorable Rodwell Ferguson says the Department of Youth Services will ensure that the recording studio is used to its fullest capacity.
Music is played across the country of Belize, and every different municipality or district have their own culture, have their own way how they express themselves. And placing it in the Department of Youth Services is significant. I want to give kudos to the director. When I came to this building maybe a year ago, it was in shambles because there was 13 years of neglect under the previous administration. So he did everything possible to make the building look very, very beautiful as you pass, very attractive. But the job now, after those who work at the department, is to make sure we go out to the streets and bring young people to this department, because it's where we interact as young people. 68% of our population is under the age of 29. And so being the minister responsible is a critical position to figure out how we can get them incorporated in what you want to accomplish. Because if we can change their mindset, then we can have a different generation, we can have a different young people, we can have a different future. I appreciate this, Minister of Tourism. IDB, it's a pleasure, and we are going to make sure it works for the benefit of the young people of Orange Rock.
The Orange Rock Sound Factory is the second to be inaugurated under a project financed by the Inter-American Development Bank's Sustainable Tourism Program 2 and administered by the Ministry of Tourism and Diaspora Relations.
These initiatives mark another important milestone for Belize in terms of diversifying the country's tourism products and providing innovative opportunities for young Belizeans to access to employment and generate income. According to an IDB report that it was focused on entertainment sector for the CARICOM countries, it established clearly that the CARICOMs score highly in terms of talent and diversity, and Belize is not an exception, as its entertainment industry is a fast-growing one with many opportunities still to explore. However, despite the prospects, many challenges exist. Lack of capital investments, marketing, lack of technology, and social capital and collaboration can prevent countries to further explore and strengthen its cultural and artistic potential. To overcome these challenges, the Ministry of Tourism and the Diaspora Relations approach to IDB to support this project and to contribute to the enhancement of the entertainment sector in Belize, which represent one of the main tourist products. This project is a great example of what we can achieve with sound collaboration between many agencies, in this case, and among others, that join the efforts of the Department of Youth Services, the Ministry of Education and Culture, Science and Technology, as well as the National Institute for Culture and History, and of course, the IDB. All those talented artists and musicians that it was explained in the beginning that need support to make a practical start can now have access to quality recording equipment in a professional, comfortable, and safe environment, thanks to the completion to this initiative. Together, the IDB and these agencies envision these music studios to provide a gateway that would enhance the cultural tourism product of Belize, while also contributing to the increase in socioeconomic value and tradability of a niche market, particularly among the youth, the local artists, as well as the students of music.
Prime Minister Honorable John Briceño was also present during this weekend's inauguration and joined in with his colleagues in pledging his support in helping to enhance the music industry in our country.
I'm very excited that Minister Mana and his team, the Ministry of Tourism and Diaspora, BTB, along with the Youth, Ministry of Youth Department, the Ministry of Youth, with Honorable Rodwell Ferguson, came up with this idea about trying to provide opportunities for our young people and to create a studio where young people can come and experiment and can play their different rhythms, try new rhythms, try their words. As I mentioned earlier, Belize is known for its natural beauty, but there are certain aspects of the tourism product that needs to be developed. Minister Mana said it best, the issue of culture and music. When you think about Mexico, you think about mariachi, you think about Jamaica, you think about reggae, Bob Marley. And so we need to come up with our own. We've already done some work down south with the Punta Rock sound, but now we need to set up avenues where our young people can use their creativity to come up with new songs, to come up with music that we can take out not only rapping but even poems, and do different recordings, and that this can also complement what we're doing. So I congratulate them for having that vision. As Anthony mentioned, it is a part of Plan Belize. We're saying we want to create opportunities for people, especially our young people, and this is one tangible example of Plan Belize in action.
With the recording studio now fully operational, local musician JQ says he is excited to see what our local artists are able to accomplish now that they have the professional equipment at their disposal.
It's definitely a great opportunity. The level of professionalism and the quality it's going to create, it's something that we all should take advantage of. At first, it was like private studios, maybe in somebody's bedroom. Now it's a legit studio where you have professionals and you could do something on a professional scale. You take your product to another level to be able to brand yourself and actually make some money off of it and a career. So it's definitely a good opportunity. Quality, number one. Another thing, what it will do, it will filter out artists that's not so serious. There's people that say they want to do this, they want to do that, but when it's time to invest in it or actually sit down and do an actual studio session, they take it like a joke. So what it's going to do, apart from raising the quality of the product we create here in Orange Walk, it's going to filter out, what's a good word to say? It's going to filter out the people that aren't so serious, And that is a big opportunity a big situation when it comes to events. When BTB does events, all these artists wants to be included, but they're not putting in the actual effort or groundwork. And then now that we have a student, there's no complaining. Like you can't complain. There's a professional studio in the center of town, across from market, which is buses, and so no more complaining.
The value of the Orange Walk Sound Factory recording studio is over $80,000. A small contribution is expected to be charged for the usage of the studio by artists. Reporting for CTV3 News, Norma Ruiz.
After 24 weeks of milling, the 2022-23 sugarcane crop season will officially come to a close on Thursday, June 15th at noon. The announcement was made today by the Sugar Industry Control Board and the Sugarcane Production Committee. This decision was taken after a meeting among all stakeholders of the sugar industry earlier today. Now, while the closure of the crop season marks a momentous occasion for the sugar industry, this year's season has been marred with a number of setbacks and controversies along the way. Unlike previous years, this crop season will be closing off with a 25% reduction in the production of sugarcane in the fields. This reduction was caused mainly by the negative effects of climate change in the past 2 years, coupled with challenges in cultivation and delivery faced by farmers closer to the end of the season. The fall in cane production, however, is expected to be offset this year by the high price of sugarcane, which is being experienced in the international market. As it relates to the relationship between the mill and the largest cane farmers association, the impasse continues as a long-term commercial agreement is yet to be agreed upon by the two. Through intervention by the government, a short-term agreement is currently in place, which is expected to expire in the month of July. At this time, negotiations are still ongoing with the help of a ministerial subcommittee which was put in place by the government of Belize. This came following a slew of failed attempts to reach an agreement, including the intervention of a mediator. And before that issue can see a definitive resolution, the industry is once again at odds. This time over the newly implemented Belize Sugar Industry Regulations 2023 license to import and export, which was announced by government way back in May. At this time, those regulations are before the Supreme Court following a challenge filed by BSI ASR and the Corozal Sugarcane Producers Association, who are against its implementation. The Belize Sugarcane Farmers Association, on the other hand, has expressed its unwavering support for the regulation and its said benefits to the sugar industry. The Supreme Court case on this matter is expected to be heard on July 21st. Today is being hailed globally as World Day Against Child Labor. Around the world, governments and non-profit organizations host activities to commemorate the special day, which is being celebrated this year under the theme Social Justice for All End Child Labor. In recognition of the very important milestone, the Ministry of Labor was present at Escuela Secundaria Técnica Mexico to speak to the students about the importance of the day and why catalyzing the movement is priority for the ministry.
We had the pleasure of partnering with Escuela Mexico, the high school, to commemorate International Day Against Child Labor. This is a day that is celebrated the entire world around, promoted by the International Labour Organization on June 12th. And so it's to advocate for the protection of children, the prevention of the exploitation of children in labor. And so we were able to spend some time here with the students of Escuela Mexico and to talk about the issue of child labor and what we're doing about it in Belize.
Okay. What were some of the highlights that you shared with the school students?
Well, there are some important things. I mean, we tried to explain to the students the definition of child labor, because not all child labor is bad. We call that child employment when children are able to work. It's just that the work that children do must not be detrimental to their well-being.
The Labor Commissioner was also present at the event today and spoke about the movements the ministry is engaged in to end child labor in Belize.
Child labor falls directly under the Labor Department, but it's not only the duty of the government. We work along with other stakeholders. So it's very important that our children are protected. And so as a line of work for the Labor Department, we have a Child Labor Secretariat who ensures that implementation, because we just launched a policy 2022, and to ensure that the policy is implemented. And that policy entails different activities that needs to take place so that together we can end child labor by 2025. In terms of statistics, and that's why our policy is very important, because one outcome that has to be accomplished in that policy is a survey. Data collection. It's very important that we gather our data to ensure that we're actually looking at the information and saying, okay, child labor, here is where this industry is where child labor occurs. We had done, there was a child labor survey which was conducted in 2013. And that survey indicated that there were high prevalence of child labor in the agriculture industry. But now with fair trade, that has gone down drastically because the agriculture sector signs up to the fair trade and they must comply and they have very strict regulations. And so we're certain that in the agriculture sector, in the cane farming, it has reduced drastically. And so we have been doing very good. Belize has been doing very good in terms of monitoring in the cane farming and in that agriculture aspect. But yes, information and data is very important, and so that's one aspect. In the policy, we speak about data collection. We need to ensure that we conduct statistics to gather our information to ensure that we are implementing and ensure that the industry is targeted, and so that we can create different initiatives to reduce child labor or end child labor.
One of the day's main highlight was the signing of a memorandum of understanding between the ministry and the Progressive Sugarcane Producers Association, which focuses on ending child labor by 2025.
We signed a memorandum of understanding with the Progressive Sugarcane Farmers Association. This is the second such MOU. And that's also, again, to just join forces to promote the protection of children away from hazardous work. And so the association have made commitments together with the ministry to ensure that we don't have child labor in their sphere of work, but also to work together to advocate for the protection of children. We need to keep working on addressing this issue. And one of the main ways we're doing that at the ministry is we have a National Child Labor Committee. And that committee, under the ministry, we have also developed a national child labor policy, and there are specific actions that need to be taken there, partnering with organizations such as the Progressive Sugarcane Farmers Association is one such step, and one such measure outlined in the policy. There are several that addresses the issue of child labor. And so this National Child Labor Committee, which is a multi-stakeholder group, have developed a work plan or are implementing their plan. And so this is one such event. So a lot of the times we expect people to do things better, but they need to be aware of what it is that they need to do. They need to be aware of what's not allowed and permitted. And so education, public sensitization is a big part of the work that we do. And of course, we have to keep working at it, and that's what the Child Labor Committee does by following their work plan.
Students from Escuela Mexico who had participated in the ministry's video competition were given prizes for their creativity. The videos submitted highlighted the negative effects of child labor and the positive approaches that can result in eliminating the issue. And that's the news. We invite you to join us for another newscast on Tuesday, June 13th here on CTV3 and Faced FM 106.7. Remember that to read a text version of the news, you can visit our website at ctv3belizenews.com. You can also log on to our Facebook page for current stories at facebook.com/ctv3belizenews or our YouTube channel at CTV3NewsBZ. Remember to wash your hands and remain safe. From all of us here at CTV3 News, thank you for watching and listening. Good night.